Hey guys, what's up? It is Charity, and today I wanted to talk about being pregnant and having rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so when I was 21, about 6 months into being 21, I got pregnant with my child, whose name is Finn, with an F, and I was not necessarily expecting to get pregnant at that point. My boyfriend Connor and I had been together for about a year and a half, and we were in love and very happy, but we weren't married, we weren't living together yet, you know, things like that. It was a little bit of a surprise, but we were upset first and really excited second. And once we figured everything out, we decided, like, yes, we want to have a kid, we want to start this family thing, move in together, all of that. Which, long story short, it's been amazing, and we're deeply in love, and Finn just turned 2, and the story's great, everything's great. But the pregnancy itself, I had not thought about having rheumatoid arthritis when I first saw that positive plus sign on the little P strip. I hadn't thought about what is this going to be like for me, and is my rheumatoid arthritis going to affect it? Once the shock set in and I knew I was going to go ahead and go through with it, I started trying to think, like, okay, what do I need to do? And the first thing I did was go get way too many vitamins. I went to the store, and Connor and I found like a list online of like what you're supposed to have, and we spent like $100 on all of these like vitamins and supplements and just all of these things, which I didn't even need half of them. So be wary when you go to like get stuff like that. Talk to your doctor first, see what you actually need. And after that, finally I started thinking, okay, I'm gonna gain weight, I'm gonna do all of this. How's it gonna affect me? And am I able to take my medication while I'm pregnant? So I made a list of questions. I try to think of every angle before I went in to see my specialist, because I know that I don't see her very often, and so I wanted to ask everything I could the first time that I went in to talk to her about it. So when I got there, I started asking, can I take my medication? Is pregnancy going to affect my rheumatoid arthritis? Is it going to make it better, worse, overall? I asked how the weight would affect it. I asked how the labor would affect it with my hips, because when you're pregnant, your pelvic girdle actually like loosens and can separate, and so it the joint itself becomes like detached a little bit, and so that it can move out so the baby can come through. And I was like, that sounds like it could hurt my joints. And so I was asking about that. The first answer that I got was that pregnancy can affect your rheumatoid arthritis. Now, it can make it a lot worse, or it could actually make it better. You might even go into remission. Unfortunately, there's no way to know how it's going to affect you personally, or even with like the first pregnancy, second pregnancy, third pregnancy. It's very random, and you just won't know until it happens to you. So the second thing I learned is that I was taking Enbrel at the time, and only Enbrel, and that was safe to use during the pregnancy, but not during breastfeeding. So I continued taking my medication until 3 weeks before labor, and then I had to stop, and then I had to stay off of it until I stopped breastfeeding. So that definitely played a huge part into how long I got to breastfeed, until it got to a point where it was like, would I rather pick up the baby or breastfeed the baby? Because it started getting really hard for me to do simple things, obviously, without my medication. I breastfed for about 6 weeks, so I was off of my medication for about 9 weeks. As far as my pregnancy went, mine did not go away or go into remission, but it didn't get a whole lot worse until I gained weight. And the weight gain for me was not substantial. I actually lost a good bit of weight at the beginning because I wasn't eating, I wasn't able to eat a whole lot. And then after that, I would say by the time I was 5 months pregnant is when I started gaining weight. And I gained about, so I weighed about 155 when I got pregnant, And then I lost weight. Like I said, I went down to 140 around 3 months, I believe. And then by the time I gave birth at 9 months, I weighed 170. So overall, from start to finish, I only gained 15 pounds. But from my lowest point of 140, I gained 30 pounds. So luckily for me, it wasn't a whole lot of weight, but it was still a good bit of weight, specifically sitting over my knees and my hips. And like I said, your hips, that area, the pelvic girdle, that all kind of loosens up for pregnancy. And so by the time I was about 7 months pregnant, it really started feeling heavy, feeling sore. My knees started hurting, my ankles started hurting a little bit. But overall, it wasn't too bad for me. I didn't have a lot of swelling, anything like that. When it came to the actual delivery, which I can make another video if y'all are interested in just the overall story of my pregnancy and delivery. But as it pertains to arthritis, RA, the labor itself was pretty long. I was in labor officially for 26 hours, but I did get an epidural pretty early on because of some other things that needed to be done. And so I stopped feeling as much of the pain for the actual labor. And then of course I had him. And now the aftermath of labor, the healing part was affected also by my rheumatoid arthritis. So because of the way that autoimmune diseases work and the fact that healing happens a lot slower sometimes and that you can get sick a lot easier, my recovery was a little bit rough. It wasn't the worst, but the actual healing, like down there, took a little bit longer than most people. I would say probably within 2 weeks it finally started feeling better. I definitely used they give you like this like numbing spray and like all this stuff, and so I used that a lot. And then finally, once that went away, I was, feeling a lot better. I was not on as much tramadol or anything, so I wasn't quite as like sleepy. And then one night our electricity was cut, and it was really cold outside because Finn was born in January and he was probably 2 weeks old at this point. And so it was colder in the house. It was an older house we used to live in. And I started getting really cold, and I was worried about Finn getting cold. And so I had him like triple swaddled, and I had like a robe on, and I was like shivering, and it was so cold. And Connor kept saying that it didn't feel that cold, but I was shivering. It was freezing. We got in bed. That night I actually had Finn like in between us, swaddled, because I was so concerned about us getting too cold. When I woke up, I was sick. I hadn't realized it the night before, but I had a fever of 103.6, and that's why I was shivering so much, and I thought it was so cold. And poor Finn was like sweating because I had swaddled him so much because I thought he was gonna be too cold when it wasn't that bad. I just remember waking up, my head was pounding, like I couldn't think. It hurt so bad, and I was so weak, and I was supposed to breastfeed Finn, and so I was, and he's screaming, and Connor's like, you have to feed him, and I was like, I can't, like I literally can't do it. And so he like kind of helped hold him up there. And Finn had jaundice at the time, and so he already had a doctor's appointment that day, so we took him in, and then we went to labor and delivery, and I ended up having 2 infections and the beginnings of mastitis, which is where you get like clogged up in your glands in your boobs. And just I had so many infections, and they had to get me on like some IVs and take medicine home, and it was just a lot because my immune system had a really hard time handling the damage that was done having the baby. Luckily, I went in right away and it was fine, and they could fix everything, give me medication and things like that. But yeah, so it was very rough. It was rough being sick and trying to take care of him and breastfeed him and all of these things when I was so sick right away after I had just finished healing from the actual birth. So overall, pregnancy with rheumatoid arthritis is doable. It is okay. You're allowed to have them. It's good for you. Now, I'm pretty healthy. compared to like how I look. Like you don't see a lot of the damage. I have very small amounts of damage, like on my fingers. I need to hide my face so that it'll look like on my fingers. They're just permanently kind of swollen. But again, I look fine. My worst joints are like my knees, my hands, and my feet. And now that I'm older, it's also my hips. And so the pregnancy, of course, it's gonna make things hurt, right? There's weight, there's extra weight sitting on your joints, all the way down your body, on your back. I had a lot of acid reflux, and I know now that a lot of what you eat and things like that, it all kind of plays into autoimmune diseases. So anyways, point is, it's doable. It's a little bit rougher than other people's pregnancies. It can hurt a little bit more, and the healing can be bad. But it's doable, and Finn is perfect and healthy. Now I am worried, you know, that it could be passed on. There have been a couple times where I almost thought that, you know, Finn had it, but my doctor assured me, you know, it's so rare. It's rare that I had it as a kid, you know, and that it progressed and I had it for life, and it would be so rare for him to get it. So if you're worried about that, you know, it's up to you. Like, what are the chances? Sometimes I get really worried when I think he has it, and I'm just like thinking about having other kids and things like that, and I'm like, is it selfish of me to have kids knowing that it could potentially happen? But Connor always calms me down and says, you know, are you upset that you get to live but have this disease? Like, would you rather not be here? And obviously the answer is no, I would rather be here. The disease is limiting, but it's not the end of the world. We still get to live these wonderful lives and be grateful for what we have. And so obviously that always reminds me that no matter what, you know, it's still a gift. Life is a gift, and it's a gift having children and giving children lives, and you know, so my answer is that it is 100% worth it. You may have to endure a little bit more than other people, but hey, we already do, right? We're used to it and we can handle it. So I also would like to say that we are officially talking about having baby number 2. And so I will probably kind of film things if it happens. I don't think we'll actually start trying to have a baby until the middle of the summer. So we have like half a year basically, but we're definitely talking about it. I'm definitely looking forward to it and excited. Having rheumatoid arthritis and having those side effects from it while being pregnant has not scared me off. And so I'm definitely still wanting to have another one. So if you're worried, if you're scared, again, I definitely say go for it, as long as your doctor says that it's okay for you, you know, at your stage with the disease and how everything's going. But if you get that okay from the doctor, then you definitely should do it if you want to. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was definitely interesting kind of looking back on it and trying to keep track of what affected me more. And let me know if you have rheumatoid arthritis and you have had babies, or if you're thinking about it. Just let me know down in the comments kind of what's going on in your life. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I think it's over there somewhere, so you can see more content like this in the future, or follow along with me while I have another one hopefully next year. And of course, like the video if you liked it. All right, I will see you guys next time. I love you. Mwah. Bye.